views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, welcome. This is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. Today's special guest on Zoom is Abby Jones, who was a former head of the Texan Planned Parenthood years ago, and is now a pro-life activist, author of several books, and a keynote speaker. Wow. You're all that.
And a
Welcome.
mom of 8.
And a mom of 8. Oh, 8. Wow.
Yes.
Good girl. Welcome back to my show, Patty's Page, Patty.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me again.
You look so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Let's rehash what we did back in 2017. I think that was the last time I interviewed you. I don't think I did anything later.
Mm-hmm.
And we interviewed you about your book Unplanned. We talked about why you wrote it. How about explaining briefly why you wrote it?
Yeah. I just, at the time, I just thought this is something that, I had this big dramatic story of going into the abortion facility and then leaving the abortion facility. And I thought this is something that I want to share with people. I felt like I needed to share it with people. And so I wrote Unplanned, and then a few years later wrote another book called The Walls Are Talking. And that was really just a compilation of stories from within the abortion industry, different, sort of the worst of the worst stories, things that I had experienced and other people had experienced that had come through our ministry. And so we shared that. And then I was approached to turn Unplanned into a film, which I never thought would happen. And originally thought, no, I don't really think that's something I'm interested in. But the Lord just kept really impressing that on me and saying, this is something you need to do. There's a lot of people who, especially young people, who maybe would not pick up a book, but they would watch an 1.5-hour movie. And so the Lord just kept saying, this is something you need to do. It's not about you. It's about me. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we decided to do Unplanned. And it was really incredible. I mean, it was something I'd never, of course, experienced before, or something I'd never done before, but it was really an incredible experience.
So Unplanned, when was that released?
So that was released March 29th, 2019. So it's been just over 3 years since that was released.
Dang. Wow, that's not too long ago, eh?
No, not that long. So it was such a whirlwind experience. But a good one. It was a good experience just to see all the lives that were changed, people who really came to find healing, from their past abortion experience. We had, people who left the abortion industry, people who went to go watch the film, who were, currently working in the abortion industry, who ended up leaving their jobs in the clinics after they watched the film. So many people who they had friends that, they were considering an abortion, and their friends said, before you go have that abortion, I want you to watch this film. A lot of lives were saved. So, I mean, God just did really, really amazing things with the film. So I'm really pleased that he led me in that direction.
How long did it take to write Unplanned?
It didn't take that long. I think it probably took total from start to finish for the script writing. I think it only took about 6 months. I can't remember exactly, but I think, once the process started going, the actual writing, it did not take long at all. We were in a long process of sort of waiting. So we signed the deal. We said, yes, we're going to do it. And then the Lord was really telling, once we signed the deal, and we were like, okay, let's go, let's get started. And then God said, no, you're going to wait for a little bit. And so we were waiting, and then sort of like, okay, waiting. And then I was ready to go. And the directors kept saying, no, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. And we waited actually for a couple of years after we had signed the agreement. And then finally, they just heard a word from the Lord, and the Lord was like, now you get to writing. Now you get to do it. And so then I think about 6 months later, we had a script, and we, had really refined that. And then we started casting.
I saw that in the theater Unplanned. It was quite unnerving in a way, based, especially for abortion scene. Now you have another book that's coming, or has it already been released? What is it called?
Yeah, so I had a third book released called Fierce Mercy, and that was released March 1st. And yeah, it was released March 1st of this year. And just, there it is. Yep. And this was really just, it was a more personal work for me. I think of course, talking about my abortions and everything is, very personal, but I guess I wanted people to see a more behind the scenes look of, Abby Johnson. And then also just, of course, my whole life, I feel like, has been just about God's mercy and his grace, and people can see that. But my life is not just abortion. It's not just about being a pro-life speaker. I'm a mom of 8. I'm a wife. I run these 2 ministries, and I guess I wanted people to see how God's mercy has really been a force in every aspect of my life. God's mercy has been so great in my life as a mom, as a wife, as the CEO of a nonprofit, how, God's grace has been poured over me in so many facets of my life, not just as someone who was a director of an abortion clinic who's now pro-life, but in every part of my life. And in all of those other parts of my life, those are parts of my life that other people can relate to. And so, I wanted to talk about that. And I really just wanted to put on display the goodness of God that I have experienced.
This Gosnell, he's still in prison, this abortionist.
He is, yeah. And he will be in prison for the rest of his life. Yeah.
Must be in his 80s now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he is in his early 80s. He and I think his wife is still in prison as well.
Has he repented at all to you?
No. In fact, The last thing I heard about him was that he's still very proud um, of the work that he's done. And for people that don't know who Kermit Gosnell is, I mean, he um, was convicted of murder. He killed women actually because of his the very dangerous abortions that he committed. But he also was very notoriously known for delivering live viable babies and then slitting the backs of their necks and severing their spinal cord to kill them. And these were essentially like full term babies. And that's not even why he was caught. He was actually caught. The story is really terrible because, and you can look at the court transcripts and sort of see everything that transpired. But what's really terrible about it is that he wasn't even caught for, killing a woman on his table. He wasn't even caught for killing, for slitting the back of the necks of these babies. He was actually eventually caught and brought to justice because he was running a pill mill, like a narcotics mill, out of his office. And the Pennsylvania State Department and the Health Department had ignored dozens of reports that had been sent in from people, talking about the deaths of these women and what was going on in that facility. And they just ignored it dozens and dozens of times. And so he eventually was shut down because of the narcotics that he was running out of his facility, not because of what he was doing to these women and babies.
There is no logic there, girl. None whatsoever. And fierce mercy. How did you feel when you were writing it? Yeah.
I felt I definitely felt like it was, I was very vulnerable in the book, and definitely, wanted to let people see probably a side of me that maybe they haven't seen before.
You're human.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, I wanted people to see sort of, I wanted to talk about the mistakes I've made. I wanted to talk about the healing process that I went through, just coming out of the abortion industry and what that was like. All of it. I just wanted to be very transparent. I just wanted to be very honest. And, I talk about, our adoption. We adopted a child. So I talked about that. I talked about how difficult it was. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. It's beautiful, but also very difficult. I talk about finding out that I was pregnant with twins. That was difficult. That was a difficult moment for me. And I didn't sugarcoat any of that. I wasn't, I felt like in that moment, I was like in a crisis pregnancy, right? And I was 36 years old and married and had all these children, but it was a scary moment for me. And I talk about that. Not that I ever considered abortion, but I just talk very real, just in a very honest way about, pregnancy and the ups and downs of it and how it's hard. And, I talk about, healing just in Doug and I's marriage and, what that was like, going through that after I left Planned Parenthood. So I feel like there's just a lot of vulnerability in it. And I wanted people to see that side of me.
You showed your personal side in this book. Will you be, when was it released again?
It was released March 1st.
Of this year. Yeah. Are you gonna make this into a movie?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, personal, very personal. But you wrote it very eloquently. Now, I didn't I was going to say I enjoyed it, but it was one of the best I have seen by you because it's more personal and you put yourself into it.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I think people will like it. I think even people who aren't really in like, the first, I mean, the first two books were so heavy in the pro-life part of my life, but I think this book is really for everybody, even people who aren't, necessarily like super invested in the pro-life movement. But if you're a Christian, I mean, this is really sort of like a Christian living book. So, it's really for anybody. And I think anybody would I think they would like it. There's funny parts in it. I think that they would find something that they really relate to in it.
Yeah. How, how many years ago when you were in Planned Parenthood again?
So I have been out of Planned Parenthood for 12 and a half years.
Hey, Mother Joe.
Yeah. And I can't believe it, but I got started there 20 years ago.
Oh,
And I know it makes me
big
feel
jump.
old, but yeah, but I got started there in 2001 and left in 2009. So
I have
yeah.
a question, my dear.
Mhm.
You're all praying for the babies. What about the workers?
Absolutely. Our ministry, and then there were none. We have seen over 615 workers leave the industry, come into relationship with Christ. And, that is, we all need to be praying for more of that. Those workers are, their souls are valuable. They're just as important as the babies that we are trying to save from abortion.
Mhm.
And these workers' testimonies are also very, very valuable. So these, the workers that have left, they have made a huge difference in the pro-life movement and just sort of exposing what's going on in these abortion facilities. So we have closed, because of these workers' testimonies, we have closed over 25 clinics. So they're making a huge difference in the
Texas
movement.
or around the nation?
Yes, it's around the nation. Mhm.
Oh, that's lovely. As we got to work on the Planned Parenthood here in Fort Wayne. Mhm. That's finally, what would you like to share with my audience to give them hope that all's not the end if they're pregnant?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're right now in our country, pregnancy centers, they outnumber abortion facilities now almost 4-1. There is, great hope in our nation for the pro-life movement, and also, for women who are experiencing a crisis pregnancy. We know now more about the preborn than we have ever known before. And we know now that a heartbeat begins at 21 days post-conception. We know that a baby's fingerprints are developed at 9 weeks post-conception.
Oh,
We
yeah.
know that brain waves are active only 8 weeks post-conception. So we know that there is this uniquely created, beautiful, developing individual human being in the womb at the moment of conception. And there is so much help. There are so many resources available for women who are in a time in their lives where they are just thinking, I cannot do this. I feel so alone. And there's never a reason to have an abortion. There are so many options available to women today.
Because abortions, they just want the money. They don't want to save the woman's or the baby's life. They just want to collect money.
Mm-hmm.
What can I say?
That's
We
true.
are praying for the abortionists, their crew or nurse or nursing staff,
Mm-hmm.
whoever works there, praying that they would be hope and pray for Roe versus Wade to be
Overturned.
overturned. God
Okay.
bless you, girl.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Patty.
Thank you for coming on to my show. You were, as usual, a delight. And I love talking with you, girl.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Joe. This is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. We'll see you next week. God bless.
Hello, Abby Johnson here. So I just saw this story. I wanted to let you guys know about it because it's really terrible and ridiculous. So in East Yorkshire, which is in northern England, there was a story about a woman who went to a hospital and she went there for a 12-week medication abortion. And while she was there having her abortion, she actually delivered a 30-week baby in a toilet. And they had not scanned her. They had not done an ultrasound or anything, which is pretty much becoming the reality everywhere. That's becoming the reality in the United States. Women are getting abortion pills in the mail, so, they don't have scans or whatever. So anyway, she delivers her baby in the toilet, 30 weeks, and all of a sudden then the hospital springs into action. They take the baby, they take it to the NICU, they try desperately to resuscitate the baby, and it's, no success. The baby ends up dying, and, they're fighting so hard to save the life of this child when literally just minutes before they had given this woman drugs to kill her baby just because they thought the baby was 12 weeks. Now that they find out the baby's, a few weeks older, now, well, the baby has all of this infinite dignity and value, and we should do everything in our everything within reason, within possibility, to save the life of this baby. And that doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever, because that baby at 12 weeks was the same exact baby at 30 weeks, right? It doesn't make any sense. The parents, they end up naming the baby. It was a little boy. They end up naming the baby, I think, Ronnie, which, to me, again, crazy. Baby had no name, had no value, had didn't give a crap about the baby at 12 weeks, but now all of a sudden at 30 weeks, the baby deserves a name and has all of this value. And guys, this is the reality for women. This is exactly the type of thing that is going to be happening to women in the United States, because women are they already are getting abortion pills without ultrasounds, not having any idea how far along they are into their pregnancies, not knowing anything about their pregnancies. They're going to be getting these pills. They're going to be having babies in their bathroom while sitting on their toilets. And who knows how far along they're going to be? Who knows if they're going to be hemorrhaging to death on their toilets, far away from emergency rooms? Who knows? And this is what we're supporting. And this is what the pro-abortion movement is calling pro-woman. And this is not pro-woman. This is not pro-child. This is not pro-health. It's none of that. And this is just one of many, many examples of what is to come of women's health care, what they call women's health care. And this is far, 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 far from health care. Fulton is trying desperately to get his feet in the shot. Fulton. It's okay. See, this baby was a baby, the same baby at the moment of conception, it's the same baby now. Baby's always the same baby. Always the same value. Always the same dignity.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always.